A big warm welcome to the Body Love Revolution online summit, Building a Better Relationship with Yourself. Today, I am joined by Julie Tenner. Let me tell you a little bit about Julie. Julie is an intimacy and relationship therapist, counsellor, visionary, author, speaker, and co-host of the widely celebrated Nourishing the Mother podcast. Can I just add in there, and has just hit 500 episodes,
Yes, you can.
which is yay, which is phenomenal. Drawing on over 20 years of expertise as a doula, naturopath, and facilitator, Julie weaves a tapestry of practiced wisdom, sacred storytelling, and raw authenticity into every transformative experience. Her signature blend of humour, compassion, and deep respect for complexities of human connection makes her a wonderful guide to those seeking to ignite their relationship and reclaim their vitality. As a trauma-informed counsellor, Julie specialises in healing the unseen wounds of trauma, breaking patterns of self-sabotage and disconnection. With her heart-centered approach, she helps clients embrace their fullest selves, redefine intimacy, and reignite the spark in their relationship, because everyone deserves to feel loved, seen, and desired. Welcome, Julie.
Oh, thank you so much. It's lovely hearing my bio. And I love that we can have humour and humility around it too. So great.
Yes, when I trip over little words and
Oh, it's
got there.
wonderful.
So, Julie, I just said to Julie before we hit record, we did a podcast last year. And so Julie was a guest on Celebrate a Sister podcast, and still to this day, one of my most listened to podcasts, because you speak so much truth with such gentleness, kindness, and care. I'm also, a massive fan of your book, Beautiful Flowers and Honey, The Art of Relationship, Love and Desire. And for anyone listening, please check out this book of Julie's, because I listened to it, you read it to me, and everyone's going to hear your beautiful, velvety, gorgeous voice today. But you reading to me that book and the words you use, the vocabulary, is just soul food. So thank you, my darling.
Gosh, that feels like a heart gift. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So beautiful. So, Julie, today we've got some fabulous questions to ask you, because I really want you to share your wisdom and your ethos around building a relationship with our body, and particularly in the space that you work with, which is in relationships. I feel like it's more needed than ever. So I would like to ask you, how does a woman's relationship with her body reflect her ability to receive love, intimacy, and pleasure in her relationship?
Such a great question. I often think, which is so relevant, I'm sure, for you and your beautiful listeners, is the way that we treat our body, our own body, is often the way that we allow ourselves to be loved, to receive or not receive what we allow in, right? It's not that it's not necessarily even offered or available. It's simply, do we allow it in? Do we allow ourselves to feel it, right? And if you can't receive and feel your own softness and tenderness and love, how do you receive it from someone else when you have no blueprint for what that is, So I often think that the problem with so many women these days, and I'm sure you and I can relate, is that we spend so much time in our head. We spend so much time on doing, mission focus, moving forwards, that intimacy, when we're only living in the head and never entering the body from the neck down, never asking ourselves how we feel, never connected to how we feel. In fact, we almost pride ourselves on switching it off, right? Like, how many tasks can I get done before I let myself go to the toilet? Like, how much do we even just switch off the signal of, I have a need as basic as going to the toilet, and we switch it off and we switch it off, and let alone hunger, let alone rest, let alone softness, right? That, like, they're even way further down. So when we live so much in the head and we never allow ourselves to feel, let alone feel something like attraction and desire, then how is it even possible? When we live in the body, that becomes an effortless, natural state. But if we never enter the body, it feels really hard.
Oh, yes, so true. Even you just talking through then the list of a woman's life and not even allowing to her acknowledge if she's hungry or needs to go to the bathroom. That is interesting. You actually, when we did the podcast, I had a massive light bulb moment. And I was wondering if you could even just explain the masculine and feminine energy. But what the light bulb moment last time we chatted was you said motherhood is actually masculine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, you are so right. I had never thought, because we naturally think the nurturing mother, the one that takes care of the children,
Yeah.
but it's masculine. Are
Yeah.
you happy to share what it's, the masculine and feminine energy and how that works?
Of course. So let's just do a brief spectrum of that. So when anyone talking about masculine and feminine energy, and coming particularly for me from a tantric perspective, because my father was a tantric yogi, and then I have gone on my own journey consequently because of that. So that's where it's coming from. I just want to start that conversation with, for some of us, masculine and feminine in its own feels confronting. And then for others of us, it can be hard to understand that we have an experience of both within us. So what I'd love us all is just to soften around that language and say, pick anything that feels good for you. What it's trying to say is there's this spectrum within you, and it's a spectrum of feeling, and it's a spectrum of skills, and you get to choose where you want to move along that spectrum. And at one end, there's deeply masculine traits, which we could simplify into the part of you that has a driving force, forward motion, productivity from the head, neck up, big vision, big picture, goals, setting, doing, achieving, production, rationality, mind focused, right? And then all the way down that spectrum to the other end that we would call feminine, which is the receiving aspect of yourself. So this is the part of you that wants to give in the masculine. Yes, give your purpose, give your gift, give nurturance, give the things, be in service. And there's the part of you that wants to receive, that wants to call towards, that wants to pull towards, that wants to be in softness and feeling and sensuality and sexuality and all of the juicy stuff of the body and what it has to offer. Intuition, empathy, heartfelt experiences. What's deeply important? How do I want to live in this moment? How present do I want to be? The masculine's always in the future. The feminine is present in the moment. So that's what we're talking about. A lot of people like to use giving and receiving energy. You can use anything you want to use. I use masculine and feminine because it lands well for me, but masc and fem, giving and receiving, rock and ocean, the word doesn't matter. Pick what relates to you. We're trying to say you have within you these aspects of self.
Yeah.
And when you can identify and see yourself in those aspects, it becomes much easier to have a framework to go, and how do I want to lead myself forwards? So ultimately, I think that's the point of it. When it comes to relationship, this whole idea is that our natural world is built upon forces of amory. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about magnetism, literally a magnet, right? There's a positive and negative, and they pull each other together, and we have magnetic attraction. It doesn't matter if it's electricity with a positive and a negative, and we have this spark of electricity. All the natural forces in our natural world are built upon this idea that we have desire for our equal and opposite. So when we're applying that to an understanding around Tantra or masculine and feminine, we're simply saying two of the same, two people who are in their masculine are either going to be butting heads because you're both in the headspace and you both want to lead, or what's going to happen is neutrality. We're both there. There's no sexual zing. You might have great meeting of the minds. You might be amazing co-workers, but there isn't enough zing to create electrical spark. Same as, in the feminine, the two feminines become very repulsive because we're both who has it harder, who has more needs. I need to be seen, I need to be seen, I need to be seen, and no one's jumping into the masculine to see the other, right? Or we have neutrality again, sometimes, often in two feminines, there can be a version of repulsion. So it's just interesting, I think, as a framework, not because you have to live it so wholeheartedly, not because I don't think there's a million ways you could look at relationship and how we relate to ourselves, but because I find it a deeply useful framework for a world that is deeply patriarchal and asks us to continuously show up in service and in production and measures our worth based on those things and visibility and minimizes anything that's feminine. We know this even from a pay scale, that the motherhood and the unpaid labors of caring, still we're having policies and discussions around that. And that the caring careers are paid less than the ones that are perhaps corporate and of the mind or money or, So I do think it's big. It's part of a bigger context, but I think it's useful to sit here and say, what piece of this do I want to use for my own journey? Now, what was the question you asked me originally before I went off on what was masculine and feminine? What was your drop-in point?
Yeah. How does a woman's relationship with her body reflect on her ability to receive love, intimacy, and pleasure in her relationship?
Yeah, but what was the pop-in that you said you had from our podcast? What was the
It
eye-opening
was
moment?
motherhood. Yeah,
Oh,
motherhood is
motherhood.
actually
That was it. That's
masculine.
what I wanted to return to. So we're
Yes.
absolutely right when we talk about the feminine from a construct of archetypes, maiden, mother, crone. Yes, the mother as an archetype is absolutely part of a feminine archetype. And regardless of whether you physically give birth to children or not, we will all make an archetypal journey through those experiences. So the maiden who's deeply naive and awake and new to the world and to sex and to bodies and to the awakening. You think about the maiden who's like, I'm excited and I'm joyful and I'm frivolous and I'm playful and I'm flirty and everything is exciting because it's all new. And often when we make the transition into mother, which for all of us becomes about how do I do service and how do I nurture? What do I want to create in this world? Doesn't matter if it's a business or it's a legacy or it's a human or it's a relationship or a house, whatever. What do I want to create? How am I using my creation force? How am I shifting this? How am I changing this? But it is boundaried. The unfortunate thing is the context of socialization that we're living in requires that we're largely unboundaried and in servitude in order to be rewarded for that and receive love. But what happens is so many of us get stuck in the doing. So the actual lived experience of what mothering in its modern day requires is less about the archetypal understanding around creation force, which is deeply feminine, the transmuting of one thing into another, so an idea into a physical form, a single cell into a human, right? The idea of transformation is absolutely feminine. But when we use motherhood as a context in how we're living today, it's all about leading, guiding, directing, organising, planning, scheduling, booking it in, doing the things, cleaning up, never being like you're constantly in doing. So it doesn't matter if you're a full-time CEO looking after teams of people, leading, guiding, directing, managing, or you're at home looking after teams of children, same skill set, leading, guiding, directing, managing, because we all know you have to get things done. If you've got to get kids to bed at 7, you've already planned your day backwards to make sure that happens and you're meeting those targets, right? So the lived experience of how we do motherhood is deeply masculine, which means also when we talk about it in the construct of conscious parenting is that we're holding space. When you are holding space, you are in your masculine because the feminine is the space. She's the feeling. But when you go, it's not my turn to feel, it's my turn to witness and hold, masculine. So if we spend all day tuning into the needs of others and switching off or ignoring our own, or switching off and ignoring our own body, our own needs can be from appetite all the way through to really basic stuff that we talked about. What am I eating? And going to the toilet and rest and sleep. We switch all of those things off to be in service of something we perceive is more important. That's deeply masculine. Do or die, right? It's this or death, Then we never are dipping into our feminine, and it's just like a muscle. Whatever you spend your time doing your reps on, you build, and whatever you don't withers. And that's all it is. If you are
Yeah.
always doing your reps in the masculine, you get harder, you often get more resentful, you often have this feeling of my body's so full of tension. Maybe I'm now avoiding that tension through all of the strategies we know. It doesn't matter if it's shopping or work or kids, or we avoid our feeling state. We all know there's a million creative ways to do that, or food, or whatever it is, screens. If we never actually offer ourselves this opportunity to dip into our softness and our vulnerability and our sensuality, which just means our five senses. What can I feel? What can I hear? What can I taste? What can I touch? Like this body as this most magnificent vehicle of information of how I want to move forwards and what am I feeling and how do I want to be in this moment when I have that level of information, right? So yes, mothering is a deeply masculine construct. Yeah. And if we're not cognizant of allowing ourselves pockets of time to build the muscle of the feminine, we will end up feeling distant from connection in general. Connection to our bodies, connection to our hearts, connection to our lovers. We can feel like there's this thick wall between us and we don't know how to get back. Connection to sensuality. And of course, sex and desire feels like, I don't even know what that is. If I don't even know what a need is that I have, how can I possibly know what a desire is?
Oh, lots of little light bulb moments then around connection to body and being in the masculine. That is it, like, and exactly that example you gave of where we build our reps, that strengthens. But this whole relationship with our body, our desire, and even, we spoke before we hit record even about that, the beautiful function that appetite plays in our life.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit around appetite in relation to our body and our life? Because I love what you said before we hit record. I'd love for you to share on that, Julie.
Absolutely. Well, we were talking about appetite in terms of women and food and body image, and which is such a valuable conversation. And I had said to you, Emma, I said, yes. And what I think about as a sex therapist and relationship therapist when I hear appetite is I'm so curious about how women feel about their appetites, because an appetite isn't singularly focused on food. How you feel about your appetite is also wider. How do you feel about the appetites that you have access to? The appetite for pleasure, your appetite for desire, your appetite for life. Like, are you constricting and your appetite is always wrong and it's not allowed, and somehow you can't trust it because it's going to be too much, so I'm just always going to put the brakes on it? Well, that's also the appetites that you have in all other areas of your life. They're not disconnected, they're in total resonance. So I find it so fascinating around appetite and how we feel about our appetite. How much are you allowing yourself to have an appetite for all of life? Feeling, sex, pleasure, desire, rest? Or are we constantly in this phase of mistrusting our bodies and ourselves and putting the brakes, slamming the brakes, glass ceiling ourselves on all of those things? Well, that's enough. You're not allowed anymore.
Yeah. Or even I had a client the other day and we were talking about diet culture, and this is like the appetite bit. We were talking about diet culture and she was sharing with me, her body story, all the things that she'd done over the years. And she said one of her strategies used to be was at night when she got hungry. So appetite's kicked up. When she would get hungry, she would just go to bed because she couldn't eat anymore. So she, because her calories were done for the day. So she would just go to bed. But that's a knock-on effect, right? And I also know that there was a marriage breakdown in that whole story too. And that just goes to show that appetite, exactly what you're saying, whether we are not trusting ourselves and cutting off our food, that knocks onto our intimacy, our drive for life. And even when you're saying appetite knocks into desire, and it's just we are connected. We cannot turn off one part of ourselves and not think that it affects other parts of our life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And appetite, because I even think of appetite almost like, the appetite comes before then the orgasm.
Yeah, totally it does.
Yeah, orgasm of life, even not just in the bedroom, but in every part of your life. So, the appetite is such a great guidepost, because when we start to feel that stirring, whether it be hunger or or wanting to connect with our partner,
Mm.
that appetite or that excitement, joy, you actually have that little spark where you go, oh, I'd really like to try that, or I'd like to do that, or I'd like to experience that. And
Mm.
like you said, then you just cut it off. Or the example of my
Mm.
client, I just would go to bed. So it's like, I'll just tap out now because I can't be trusted. And how dare I have that experience?
Exactly.
It is, yeah, it's all connected, isn't it? And I did share with Julian just before we hit record around, at the moment, the weight loss injection, Ozempic or Manjaro, whatever you want to call it. And its main function is to turn off your appetite.
I
So it's
know.
that.
It makes me a little bit scared when I think about that for women, that really is that still where we're at? This control of women and their appetites?
Yeah, that's it. Control of women and our appetite.
Mm.
Let's regress her back and tell her that her body right now is not acceptable, or
Mm.
she's somewhere made this decision that her body is not acceptable. And I find, Julie, there's lots of conversation. People say, but it's about my health, it's about my health. Turning
Mm.
off your appetite, there is nothing healthy about that in my mind. Body image and health have got nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
Like, they just, healthiness is having an appetite, healthiness is wanting to connect, and intimacy and sensuality.
Yeah. And also so much part of a bigger conversation as well, right? Like, how much is body image and the way that we perceive our bodies part of even how much high cortisol we have floating through our bodies, which I notice in women running in their masculine a lot, tends to thicken the waist and the belly. And they can do nothing about their appetite but slip into their feminine, and all of a sudden we're not in that constant doing fight, flight, freeze, fawn, cortisol, high production, always moving, never stopping, never slowing. And the waistline simply comes back to a place of, um,
Equilibrium.
yeah, I don't want to say natural. I was trying to find the word. I'm like, whatever
Yeah.
your body set place is, where it's
Yeah.
at its most nourished, maybe is what I would say.
Yeah.
So I do wonder about the toll of our lifestyles on our body.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it is lifestyle. It's more than one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we talk about the boss mode? So many
Mm.
women do struggle, and this is perhaps even leading into exactly that, when the middle thickens out, and then how do we come back to our natural equilibrium, which this may be perhaps even some shifts that you could suggest. So many women struggle to shift out of boss mode and soften into their feminine energy. How can they begin to cultivate a deeper sense of body love and magnetism through this shift?
Ah, such a good question. This, I'm probably going to end up telling you the same points over and over, because I don't think at the end of the day it's that complicated. But truly, if you're not making space to feel,
Mm.
you're only in a function state, like you're only functioning. And if we're not connected to ourself, if we're not connected to the part of us that feels open and radiant and desirable, right, then intimacy, play, romance, lightness, it all takes a back seat. And what I find so fascinating for most of us this day and age is that it seems like the easiest thing to do is to put our partner and our relationship on the back burner. That's the first thing that drops away. We can even say among that, relationship is also, in air quotes, self-care, like the actual type of self-care that's going to have a lasting impact, not like going to the spa to get my nails done, like daily small habits of how I'm connecting to my body and my feminine and my heart and my soul and how am I feeling, right? But daily things. So what I find fascinating is the harder it gets, the more we actually put those things that are going to bring us into connection last, to the point where our partner and our relationship, that we know through studies are the very things that create the greatest sense of fulfillment, and yet we still believe that it's about production and success. The research doesn't agree with that. Is that we will literally put our partner under the washing pile and after the dishes, and only if there's time or energy left over at the end of the day, which of course there never is. There never is.
No.
Because women spend every moment cramming productivity into every second, because if I don't get it done today, tomorrow is worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel so heartfelt when I say I get it. I get the lie we're sold. I get the cultural conditioning that we're floating in. I get the setup of our lives. I really do understand it. I'm a mother of 4 children, I should say too. So I really do get it.
You get it.
Yeah, business owner, mother of 4 children. And I've always been a stay-at-home mum for those 4 kids. So when I say to you, I really understand it, I really do understand it. And I'm not saying I practice it perfectly, but I'm saying I can recognize when I've gone too far into boss mode, because I will start getting really angry at my husband. And I often think about it now and I make myself laugh. I call it beard rage. He has this beard and I actually like really dig his beard when I'm like really connected to all of the juicy goodness around sensuality and sexuality. But when I am like, have gone too far and I haven't connected to my body and I'm just in utility mode, like my body is a unit to get things done,
Yeah.
and I'm not feeling, and I haven't even spent time to ask or inquire internally about how are you? What is going on for you? Like me personally, how can I possibly be open to connection with another? I'm not. And so my signs that I've gone too far into that utility and that masculine and that boss mode is that I get really cranky at him. All of a sudden, just his beard walking in the room is the most irritating thing I have ever. I'm like, I hate that beard. Why don't you comb it? And then I start parenting him, you know, like the henpeck.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fold the washing like that. I wouldn't put the dishes away like that. And it's almost like being the henpeck or the backseat driver, which is just further creating this man-child mothering, absolutely no sexual chemistry dynamic that so many of us end up in, but we're 2 sides of the same coin. One is creating the other. I'll start feeling resentful around the invisible labor or just how much I'm doing and how much he's not doing. And confirmation bias is a real thing, right? We are always filtering our world to prove ourselves right. So
Yes.
it's not that the way that you see he, she, they, them are or are not showing up, it's not a whole truth. It's a perception
Yeah.
because your ego is trying to prove yourself right. And so I recognize that when I start getting really puffed up and almost warrior-like, and I'm like, oh, we're on opposite teams and you are just either significantly disappointing or the most irritating human. I don't even want to be around you. Or he comes towards me for some connection and I'm like, ugh, ick, get away from me. Because of course I'm trying to just claw back myself before I'm even available for him.
Yeah.
So I can recognize those points at which I've gone too long and too far into boss mode. And so I have to have an intervention talk with myself. Okay, well, you know, we can keep staying here, and many, many, many women do.
Yeah.
And they will be the ones that say, my partner is so deficient. There's no good men left in the world. Why are they so annoying, pathetic, irritating, not good enough? Because we're still in this henpecking space. We're not actually in a magnetic space at all. So what I have, and the intervention talk was, right, okay, number one has to be well-being. If we are so far down the rabbit hole of survival mode doing that we've now got like a bit of jaguar energy in us that we're like, okay, all right. Well, that part of us only comes out when it's a strategy and an adaptation that I've needed previously to keep myself safe, or to just keep going because I have the perception that I'm an island and there's no one but me.
Yeah.
No one can meet my needs but me. If I don't do it, no one else will. But if you continue to live as an island, it will become your reality.
Yeah.
I don't want to live as an island, because the whole purpose of polarity and moving into your feminine is that you gives your whole nervous system an exhale. It actually gives you an opportunity to slipstream into this state of what we might call flow or surrender or groundedness or heartfelt connection. And that flow for women, for feminine beings, feels so good. It feels like relief at the same time as it feels like life flowing back into you and through you. And that state from there is much easier to start really feeling my body and really being in tune with my appetite, not snack fooding because I'm not actually connected to myself,
Yeah.
right? Not junk food, like actually the nutritious food I'm craving. And that nutrition will be different types of connection and different types of activities and actually different types of food when I'm connected to myself.
Yeah.
But when I'm in boss mode for so long, I'm only in my head. I'm not even connected to my body, my needs, my heart, my authenticity, my alignment, the true radiance of who I am and what I have to offer. No one loves me because of what I know in my head. People love me because of the space that I hold and how they feel around me. That's the feminine. And you
Yeah.
all know this, right? You can be around that friend who's an energy drainer, and you can be around that friend who just being in their proximity makes you feel amazing
Yeah.
and it recharges you. That's the feminine.
Yeah.
So when you realize that part of your gift is to bless whatever space you're in and that that is worth more than, I mean, men have given up countries for that. There's nothing more powerful. And yet we still have the perception that switching it off and doing and tasking and being a better man than most men is the way that we'll get fulfillment and success. And I get it. It's
Mm.
socialized conditioning for a system that works well for. It just doesn't work well for most women.
No, it doesn't.
No. So just 5 minutes, 30 seconds. And I ask women to put it on their phones because, particularly, I'm also going to say if there's neurodivergence and you get into tunnels or you're distracted in 1,000 different ways, you actually do need supportive systems initially to start turning the wheels on the habit. And that's all it is. You have a habit of ignoring your body. We want to build a habit of returning to your body. That's it. Put an alarm. How do you feel? Ask the question. That's it. Oh, how do I feel? How does my heart feel? How does my body feel? Oh, how does my womb feel? Like, just how do I feel? And once that feels good, then the next step is how do I feel? What do I need right now? Great. What do I need? I don't know. Never even thought about what I need before. Amazing. What a great question to ask. It's really that small.
Yeah.
5 minutes, 30 seconds.
Yeah. That's the two questions, Julie. How do I feel? And ask that until something arrives.
Mm.
And then what do I need? Because it could be, like you said, the simplest of this, you need to wee, you need a drink of water,
Exactly.
you need, your legs are tired, you actually need to sit down. As
Yes.
you're standing at the bench shoveling food into your face,
Yes.
actually, why don't you sit down? Why don't you actually put knife and fork out, put your phone away? Why don't you actually sit down?
Yeah.
And that was actually me yesterday. I'd been, I had interviews and I was faffing around and I was making my lunch and I had the phone while I'm making lunch. I thought, stop, this is madness. So I actually went and I went outside. I almost didn't. I went, oh, I've got to wipe down the glass table if I'm going to sit outside because it's, it's been over the weekend.
Mm.
And I thought, stop. That's going to literally, like you said, 30 seconds, go and wipe down the glass table, take your meal out there, sit outside and eat, leave your phone inside. And then an amazing, like that was literally probably a 15-minute, by the time I sat, probably 15, 20 minutes maybe. And I was like, right, refresh to go. But that's that bit. How do I feel?
Mm.
And what do I need? And then even
Yeah.
yesterday afternoon, I went for a walk. I didn't feel like going for a walk. I told myself that story, but I still put my runners on and just said, and I even let myself, I said, don't do a big power walk, take your time. Because normally masculine, it's got to be a box
Yeah.
ticking, get the steps
Yeah.
up. I
Yeah.
went, no,
Exactly.
just enjoy it. Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it's
How do
these
I
little
feel?
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
How do
love
I
it.
feel? What do I need?
Yes.
It's, yeah,
So
and like you
good.
said, if there is a bit of neurodivergence in there, or there's some other things, or Julie, you have 4 children. Like if
Yes.
there's if there's a
Yeah.
schedule,
Someone always needs something.
always
Yeah.
maybe it is like a reminder that you need. Maybe it is actually a system in place to you start to get it. And when you were talking through, I was thinking about feminine women in my life,
Yeah.
and they are magnetic.
Yeah.
They are absolutely magnetic. I have an auntie who is incredibly feminine, and when I seen her on the weekend, and she always talks about the latest nail polish, the latest lipstick, and she will talk about clothes. She loves to talk about clothes, but in her presence,
Yeah.
there's a real calmness and a relaxedness. She'll share a recipe, like she talk, but
Mm.
there is something incredibly, and I know that I have always adored her and loved her so much. But when you were talking through this, I'm thinking, because my Auntie Faye is incredibly feminine and it is magnetic.
Mm.
I'm really drawn to her femininity and always have been.
Mhm.
It's
Exactly.
interesting.
Isn't it
Yeah,
lovely?
femininity is magnetic because, like, even you were saying the magnets earlier
Yeah.
on, that's exactly what it is. So, dropping
Yeah.
into our feminine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in terms of what are some other little practical tools? Because I know that how long have you been married? You've been married.
Yeah. Actually, 19 years next week.
Okay,
Mm.
congratulations. Happy anniversary. Congratulations. Happy
Thank you.
anniversary.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been together for 22 years. Yeah, it's a long
22 years,
time.
married
Yeah.
19. Yeah, we've been married.
Yeah.
We've been together 25 years, married 22 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
So, yeah, amazing.
Congratulations.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
How are some other ways, like if we think
Mm.
practically about the woman who potentially
Hmm.
is telling herself, well, like you said, the island, they have become the island, they're
Yeah.
irritated. What are some simple other ways, apart from those two questions? What does it look like for you when you feel like, because we know what you feel like when you're into that, the beard pisses you off.
Yeah. Beard rage.
Then beard rage, I love it. Then what are some practical things? Because I'm
Yeah.
going lots of different places, but I'd love to hear also
Yeah.
how you can drop into your feminine to get that magnetism back and that even I want to say appetite, sensuality,
Yeah.
and it's not getting your nails painted at the spa. What could it be?
Yeah, exactly. What could it be? There, I want to be really clear that there is no one way to do the feminine. So if we're still in our masculine looking for the tick list, well, if I do the nails and I put on the jewelry and I wear the heels and then I will be feminine. No, that's the patriarchal notion of it. If it looks feminine, then, that's good enough that we have some arousal or attraction force. But truly, the feminine that's magnetic comes from deeper within. It's authentic, right? The most magnetic, sexy people you will ever meet are deeply embodied in that. It's not because they are following a set of rules. It's not because they're often not the most beautiful people in the world. There's something about them that's so connected that it feels intoxicating.
Mm.
So, yes, part of the feminine is beauty and the honoring of beauty. And we see this everywhere. I mean, why is it that Mother Nature produces the most beautiful things? Why
Mm.
is it that we feel changed being in her beauty? Why is it that flowers follow the sun? Because they want to be adored. And, there's aspects of that that are so resonant for all of us, that Mother Nature has so many forms of beauty. It's the same as humans. But she doesn't sit there and go, oh, my beauty's not good enough because I'm not a flower when I'm a mountain, or I'm not, I don't know, summer when I'm winter. Like, it's just, there is a spectrum of beauty that when it is fully authentic is intoxicating, and it changes how you feel. And women, our bodies, our beauty is exactly the same. But the problem is that somewhere along the way, we got told that our beauty was somehow shallow
Mm.
or manipulative. And I find that so subversive manipulation, right? Is this way again of just cutting, like almost snipping the roots of your connection to the feminine, which is truly power, and to yourself. Well, if I just tell you that your body is not enough and your beauty is not enough and that you need to change, and this snipping, 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 snipping,
Mm.
as opposed to this sense of blooming. So, where I would love women to consider is that beauty is not learned, it's inherent. You are already beautiful. And if you don't feel beautiful, if you don't feel in connection with your incarnation of beauty, then that's the place to start. How does it
Mm.
feel to begin that process instead of moving so fast that I feel nothing? What would happen if I just intentionally moved really slowly? What would happen if I shifted where my energy is sitting in my mind and I let it come down and sit in my hips? How would I move differently? And if I were to imagine and conjure the feeling in my body, be in touch with the feeling of the brink of orgasm, would I breathe differently? Would I speak in different tones? Would the way that my eyes gaze at my lover be different? Yes. The greatest seductresses in the world are the ones who can call that feeling state into their body and let that lead them forwards. Right? Let your body feel, let yourself have a spectrum of capacity to feel. Touch your body. When we touch the body, we wake it up. For women particularly, if you, any part of your body that's not touched is not part of that experience. So particularly, let's talk about sex. This is why we hate the just straight crotch grab. Ew. No, the rest of your body has not come online. That's the last place you touch. Whatever part of your body you touch is part of that experience. Are you touching your body? Because we don't realize we have feet until we touch our feet. There's not consciousness there. And we don't realize we have breasts until we breathe in such a way that we can be in contact with that part of our body. So are you touching your body? Are you adorning and dressing your body in a way that is reverent, in a way that says, I will honor you like we honor every space of worship has beauty present for a reason. Things that sparkle and things that shine and things that are bejeweled and seem of heaven, because that's what that gives us. When we put those things there, we remember we're golden. When we wear gold, we remember we're golden. When we wear jewels, we remember that we are a jewel. When, like, you have to see how across history there's aspects of this that humans have always known. We've always adorned for those reasons. Are you doing that for your body as this temple of the goddess, of feeling, of desire, of, are you dressing? You don't feel desirable? Do you find yourself desirable? You don't think you're getting any attention? Are you giving yourself attention? Like, it has to be this place of awareness, not autopilot, right? So that may seem complicated and etheric, and it honestly isn't, because it's just about slowing down.
Yeah.
And it is about, instead of being in the habit of ignoring your body, creating small ways that you can tune in. Is the way I'm dressing in alignment with how I want to feel or am feeling? Is it authentic? Because when you layer that authenticity, magnetism comes out of that.
And when you're talking, then I was thinking about the role that intuition plays. So it's not about doing, like the masculine is saying, well, you need to look pretty, like you said, put the heels on, the lipstick or whatever. No, it's actually an intuitive. And back to the word appetite, this is going to be my word of the month. Seriously, this is brilliant. The notion of appetite, which for me ties into intuition. So it's almost like a tuning into, well, like, not like, it's a tuning into, like you just said, a tuning into the appetite. What do I feel like? And then the intuition, allowing yourself to listen to your intuition, because we do have the answers, but it's not in our head, it's in our body and our heart. So I feel the question, how do I feel? What do I need? And then allowing the intuition or the appetite to actually speak to us.
It's 100% true.
Yeah. And we can, like you say, we cannot do this when we are busy, or we're in beard rage, or or we think we're in Highland.
Yeah.
In that moment,
Yeah.
it cannot penetrate. Our appetite cannot get our attention, our intuition. We have to meet it halfway. We actually have to meet it halfway, and it will meet us. But our deal is the slowing down, and it doesn't mean doing anything like we think, like getting our nails painted or our hair. Although for some that might help them meet it halfway.
Definitely.
It could help them meet it
Definitely.
halfway. At different times, I'm sure that would be a great strategy, but it doesn't have to be that.
Yes, that's absolutely the point. There is no one way. It's just, what is it that is a gateway into feeling for you?
Yeah. Yeah. And then even can you imagine the lovely evening that you have, or that lovely day you have with your significant other, because you've honored how you feel first, and then you can't help but just be in your
Yeah.
essence.
It's the most magnetic thing. It's still one of my favorite things is to hear the way that masculine beings talk about their feminine lovers. Like it is just honestly, I wish you could all hear the level of vulnerability where it's got nothing to do with your body size or even necessarily what you're wearing. They're like, I don't know, she's just, is it the way she's moving? I just love watching her do that thing. And it's often when she's in her lane, you know, like she's in her authenticity. She's cooking because she's just like this goddess in the kitchen, or she's walking around mumming, but she's put this skirt on where she feels so connected to her pelvis. And it's these tiny moments in the way that men speak about the pleasure that they receive by watching their woman be in a state of authenticity with her own pleasure is one
Yeah.
of the greatest gifts you'll ever hear.
Oh, that is beautiful. And just as when we see our significant other in their masculine, because I'm in a traditional relationship,
Mm,
when I see him in his masculine and when he's lit up and turned on, and yeah, when you both can honor yourselves, then you can come together.
exactly.
That's that's the
Exactly.
that's the path to it.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to
Yeah.
create alone time for sure. That's often what's missing, the carving out of solo time. And so you can actually have the time to go back in and go, how am I? How am I feeling? What do I want? You know, like that, even just flow time, time that you've carved out, that you've scheduled in, that actually is just flow time, that has no purpose. It's just, what do I want to do right now? How do I want to flow? Amazing feminine practice.
Yeah.
And scheduling that time for coupledom where you have time to actually come down and be together. Like it's just, there's a level of your masculine that needs to lead you forwards because it won't happen upon you.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just will keep habituating the way that we do. But if
Yeah.
you want more than the habit, it's going to require that you are boundaried with yourself and where you're spending your time
Mm.
and choosing to, and, you know, spinning that wheel so fast in your head, you can't even be here. So, self boundaries
Mm.
and putting in place life boundaries.
Yeah.
It's amazing how when you show up for what you need, the people around you will.
Yeah.
Mm,
I like the flow state, scheduling in flow
mm,
state.
so
And this
important.
is and this concept, Julie, tell me about flow state. If we were to schedule in some flow state to do whatever our heart desires, let's say, is
Literally.
that the concept of it?
Yeah, literally. I just love the idea that when we talk about the archetypes, so maiden, mother, crone, the maiden is often the archetype that women are starving for, that somehow they feel disconnected from. Back then, when they didn't have all this responsibility or children or whatever, they seemed, you know, flirting seemed easy and lightness seemed easy and I don't know, just playful fun
Carefree.
seemed
Yeah.
easy. Yeah, carefree seemed
Carefree.
easy. But now life is so full of burden and scheduling and responsibility and showing up, you know, every day in these ways that I can't even access, I don't even feel joy anymore. And so I think it's so important as a returning to our feminine, but also as an honoring and almost like a collection, because she's not gone.
No.
You just are not, it's the habit of you're not accessing those aspects of her. So, how do we create space where we can so that we can live in this bigger range rather than just this middle grey? How do I
Mm.
actually still feel these vibrant colors within me on either side of that spectrum and not feel like somehow I'm removed from myself and my life?
Yeah.
So, flow time, I just think, is the place to start where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm not actually making time for my needs. And it feels really selfish and indulgent to say I need 3 hours on my own.
Yeah.
And so we just won't because we have all
Mm.
these hang ups about what that means versus the recognition that what is most magnetic about you is you.
Mm.
But if you live a life that's all about others, that withers.
Yeah.
And then it starts to feel like others are dictating your life, right?
Yeah.
The thing that your partner fell in love with was you.
Mm.
So we just want to make sure that you are creating space, like an honoring, like a devotion, the way that you devote yourself through action and intention and thought and money and all of the things to healthy eating, or learning that particular thing, or cleaning your home and having it be a certain way. They are devotions to things that are important to you in this lifetime. And when they're really important to you and they feel really ordered and like exactly how you want them, you get this sense of empowerment, and it feeds you back, right? Those spaces feed you back. This is the same. So creating just time where it's not filled to the brim with the shit you have to do and the places you have to be and what everyone else needs from you will be one of the greatest liberations of your life. And if you want to keep it equitable, just make it part of the relationship. Often this is the thing that is missing from modern couples, is you're so maxed out. Neither of you have solo downtime.
Yeah.
So you can make it equitable. You can say, hey, lover of mine, I think we both need solo recharge time. Do you want to talk about how we can schedule that in together? And you can keep it reciprocal, sure.
Yeah.
But it's so important, and particularly when we're talking about the feminine being a creation force, is to allow yourself to be in creation, to allow that inspiration, to allow that flow, to allow that what you're calling intuition, right? It's creation. It's coming through you, and you decide how you want to move with that. That flow time. Do I want to be in my body? Do I want to sleep? Do I want to go out? Do I want to meet a friend? How do I want to honor myself in this time, and not pre-scheduling it, actually just showing up and going, what do I want to do with this time? I just think really invites in those pieces of us that feel lost.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she has a chance to show up. She actually has a break in the traffic to actually show up when you have this space. I really like the idea of that. You're right. We have devotion in so many areas of our life, but the one piece that is missing in modern couples, your words, is the devotion each other need to devote to ourselves to be able to come together.
Exactly.
Instead of filling ourselves with silly things that are really some things can be let slip or outsourced or no, just
Totally.
let go.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Brilliant, Julie. Brilliant. I always love chatting to you.
I always love chatting to you.
There's always so many light bulb moments. So I did want to ask, what is one simple, powerful mindset shift that can help women move from self-criticism to self-worship when it comes to their body?
I always love the idea, if we're talking about devotion, that we cannot desecrate at the same time as consecrate. So if our body is the temple, you can't be tearing it down at the same time as building it up. You're always choosing one. And this has been my own body journey too. And when that really landed for me, that I realized I could spend so much time trying to do the things to build my sense of body image up. But then I was perpetually smashing that temple to the ground and graffitiing it and just treating it abhorrently. I realized, wow, what if it's not even about doing all of these things to build it up that feel hard or fruitless sometimes? What if it's more about the understanding that I can move to a space of sovereignty with my body and treat it the way that I would a spiritually devotional place, a temple, a church? Because I certainly wouldn't walk into those places with so much disrespect and so much harmful intent. And I wouldn't utter those words in those holy places. So why am I uttering them to my own temple, to my own place of worship? So that, I think, was a key understanding for me that allowed me the space to pivot, that felt more easeful rather than forceful. And I think the key is still, instead of asking, how do I look? Or what can I do today? To start asking, how do I feel?
Oh, I nearly cried when you just spoke about the temple. Like I
Thank
could
you. Yeah, because it
cry.
feels like that in my
Yeah.
heart.
Because
Yeah.
I could cry at that because I know that all too well. How
Mm,
can I have this temple? And how, on one hand, I'm wanting to build it, but then how am I absolutely speaking there and uttering these words and tearing it down? What, wow.
mm,
Yeah, because that's what it is like, I believe, for a lot of women, but particularly that landed. Yes, so true.
mm.
How is it this beautiful temple? And if we think about this magnetism and wanting to be connected with our other self, how can they possibly connect to us when we are in that state? Because it
Yeah.
is, and speaking from my own experience, it's torturous,
Yeah, it is.
torturous, and such a stealer of energy and creativity and flow and
So much space.
juiciness.
Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is such a.
Mm,
I, speaking from my own experience, have allowed myself, and like you said, perpetuate this narrative that
mm,
is just not helpful and not true. It's not true.
mm.
And it's coming back from that. I love that visual though, thinking of ourselves as the temple. And when I was getting a visual then, and like you said before, when we have these beautiful jewels and to be adored and to be adorned,
Mm,
all of these beautiful
mm,
things. And then
mm,
how could I then do that to
mm.
myself? How could I then go in and trash it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Like
I'm sure
it's,
for many of us, we've literally traveled to holy places.
yes.
And so I
Yeah.
thought about that and I thought
Yeah.
I would never.
Ever.
Yeah.
I mean, you slip your shoes off at the front door because
Right.
you wouldn't even wear your shoes in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely willingly. And
Yeah.
and of course, it's not
Yeah.
even a question.
No. And don't
So
we travel there for a transcendental experience so that we may feel something and be changed? That's what a
yeah.
journey to your body does.
Yeah.
But you got to treat it like that. You've got to be the disciple of it, you know?
And it is possible. It is possible to walk back home.
Mm,
It is possible,
yeah.
without a doubt. Yeah. With that. And I love also that you mentioned, our partners or our significant others. It's not about a body weight, a size, a look.
Never.
Yeah, it's the way you move, it's the way you talk, it's you laughing, it's you with an appetite,
It's
it's
how they
you with,
feel around you. It's how
yeah,
they feel. It's how
yeah,
your state alters their sense of feeling.
yeah,
That's the gift of the feminine. It drops you from the head into the heart, and you remember what you love and why you love them, how glorious it is to be alive. When you're in the
yeah,
head, you're disconnected from those things.
completely.
Mm,
Yeah. And it's not fun.
no,
Yeah.
it's a
Not
form
fun.
of torture if you stay there too long.
Yeah. Ah, Julie, thank you.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you,
Thank
Amy.
you. From the bottom of my heart, you are just such a wealth of knowledge, and the way that you talk through these concepts or truths
Mm.
are sunshine for my soul. And I'm sure all of the women listening will feel absolutely the same. But thank you. And as you know, I'm about to head off to India. So this
Ah,
temple concept for me
yes.
is absolutely that, like you say,
Oh
going there for this
gosh.
transcendental,
Yeah.
for this transformation. And
Yeah.
then I know that you'll be in my heart, and India and I will be saying, Julie, I'm honoring the temple right
Oh,
now.
that
I'm
makes me
honoring
want to
the
cry.
temple. Yeah. Yeah. So I
Please
hope
send me
for,
a photo of that. Yeah.
yes, I will. I
Yeah.
will. And for all of our women listening, I hope that you have listened to these beautiful words and
You
are
made me
able to,
cry. Look
I know,
at
I'm the same. I hope that you've heard these beautiful words about how we can ask those simple questions. And yes, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's simple, but it is simple. It's all of that, which is,
Yeah.
how do I feel and what do I need?
Yeah.
And choosing that devotion. I'm
Yeah.
a very good woman of devotion with all these other areas of my life, but how about the devotion to self, devotion to the temple?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. And then from that, only wonderful can flow, only goodness can flow from that. Yeah.
Totally.
And
Totally.
building that better relationship with body and self. Yeah.
Yes. I would also like to say, if it's okay with you, that I have put
Yeah.
together 7 days of just meditations. If you are ready to be like, Julie, I'm not ready to leap and I don't want to like be in the forced state of moving forwards, but I am ready to lean back and receive and be in a state of possibility with myself and my body and how I feel in my feminine, then I've just put together 7 meditations that take you on a journey over 7 days. And I would love to offer that to your beautiful community, because I just offered it to my little community and they are just like, my gosh, it's changed everything. So I am a devotional soul and I do love meditation, but don't make it hard. You can plug it in while you're doing the dishes and you're doing the doing and you're walking, and it doesn't need to be on its own. Sit down and have a straight spine and be in meditation like a good little masculine yogi. No.
Yes, you can be.
It can literally just fit in. But if you're like, I'm ready just to start to consider how I might change my thought processes around my body and my feelings and my needs, then I think that would be a beautiful place for you to go. And so I've put that together for your community at julietanner.love/body love, all one word.
Thank you, Julie. And that link will be in the show notes for everybody. So it will be there. And please go and follow Julie on social. She shares some wonderful tips and lots of great little drop ins. And we see gorgeous visuals of you and your beautiful, bearded, gorgeous man. And
Now you
just
won't be able to look at it without thinking about beard rage.
and as everyone's experienced, Julie has the most gorgeous voice. So I can't wait to do the meditations. That will be wonderful. Thank you, Julie. So yes, for everyone, all of the links will be in the description. So please head over and check out Julie, and also Julie's book. As I mentioned, you can read it, but I love listening to it. So I'll put the link for Flowers and Honey, The Art of a Relationship of Love and Desire. But listening to it is, divine.
Oh, thank you.
Again, thank you, my darling Julie. Loved our chat and your words of wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma.